Welcome to the Brokers Lounge with Eddie and Carlo.
Welcome to the Brokers Lounge. Another week, another episode. Brokers Lounge, always looking all financial matters relating to property market, lending, and everything in between. This week's episode, we'll be talking about the federal election and the results and how that will affect the housing market and what some measures the Labor government will be taking towards the housing market. But before all of that, I would like to do a special welcome to my colleague.
A special welcome.
Special colleague.
It's like I've been away for about 3 years.
I know, man. It's been a while. Carlo, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well.
Yeah.
Doing very well. Can't complain.
Life's good?
Life is very good.
That's it, man.
Getting a bit colder at the moment, but so the body doesn't react as well first thing in the morning when it's this cold. But
I'm not a cold person. I don't like cold, but we have to deal with it somehow.
Yeah, exactly right. We're in for the long haul now of coming up to winter. So
hibernation.
Yeah, exactly right. So
all right, cool. Federal elections.
Our favourite topic, politics.
We're not going to go into politics. We'll discuss the Albanese government. They've got the $33 billion commitment to housing, and that's spread across a few policies and few measures. So we'll try and get into each one of them. So first things first, the $33 billion package that's obviously the most significant federal investment in housing.
Yeah, it's a big number.
It's huge. That is probably the biggest in ever.
Yeah, well and truly.
And it covers like affordability, construction, rent, infrastructure. So it's just, covering a bunch of things that hopefully will help in easing the housing market and help people get into houses in a more affordable way. So it's basically, there's three main aims around the $33 billion measure. It's helping Australians into homes, expanding the housing supply pipeline, and supporting renters and vulnerable Australians. And the message is basically like housing is at the forefront of what we're trying to do. So hopefully no
longer a side issue, is it? It's something that's well and truly right up there in the public eye. So absolutely,
it's just comes down to actually doing and actioning these things rather than like usual failed promises. So we'll see how that will play out over the next 3 years. Obviously, it's huge, so it will take time to get things going, but one step at a time, I guess.
And I think one of the big things is probably the results of the election, although we don't want to talk about politics, but having a majority government now.
There's no excuses.
That's right. There's no other political parties to block certain ideas or promises or whatever it might be. So these policies these promises that they've made to the Australian public really need to get going now.
Absolutely. They take all the blame and all the glory. It's all up to them, I guess, right?
I like that. That's good. Yeah. That's good. And I think the first one we probably want to talk about is the home guarantee scheme, which has been in play for a little while now. But the major changes, and I know we've talked about this previously after the federal budget, but it's about expanding this particular scheme to make it more open to a lot more people.
Yep.
And the two big things to come out of that one there was the removal of the income threshold, which was great. And the second bit is the increasing to the property price caps.
Yep.
Just to give you an idea, Victoria's price home cap was sitting at $800,000, now gone up to $950,000. Sydney's is massive. It's gone up to $1.5 million now.
From $950.
Yeah.
Which is massive.
That's a big increase. So it's pretty much catering, for obviously the entry level for house prices in both Melbourne and Sydney.
It's more realistic. Like what we had before was very limited because you can't find something for that price range, especially with the price, with the income cap that they had.
Yeah.
It was so hard to find, make both meet. So
exactly right.
That should open the doors for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it definitely will. People are going to sit back and go, we're no longer being hampered by an income threshold. And we're no longer having to sit back and go, well, geez, how are we going to find something to fit within $800,000, say here in Melbourne?
Yeah,
it's tough. Like to buy a house here in Melbourne for that amount of money, it's almost, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's difficult unless you want to move a lot further out. The alternative is just to buy a unit or an apartment, sorry.
Yes.
Which a lot of the young ones don't really want to be doing, to be honest. But they were almost being forced into that situation to be able to take advantage of that particular scheme. So,
and I guess the biggest part as well is the income cap, because previously you had, as a single person, your maximum income cap was $125,000 per annum.
Yep.
On $125,000, you can't buy an $800,000 property.
Correct,
so that was limiting in a way.
Yep.
And as a combined income, I think it was $200,000.
Yep.
So this will open, the doors for a lot more people to benefit from.
Yeah, I think the good thing is that they've actually just removed those thresholds rather than increase it.
Exactly.
I think if we saw an increase to, say, I don't know, 150,000, it's like it all becomes relative at the end of the day. So to remove that altogether, hopefully we'll open the floodgates a little bit more.
I guess the third step would be the stamp duty limits, because that's still not reasonable. Like in Victoria, 600,000 to have the stamp duty waived.
Yeah.
And really, you can't buy much for 600,000.
The issue is obviously going to be that this is a federal election
100%.
promise and policy or scheme that's being put in place as well. But with stamp duties done at a state level as well. So you've got to get buy-in from all the different state revenue officers, which goes back to having that majority government will hopefully, force that through a little bit quicker. There hasn't been any talk that I've heard of so far.
No.
But yeah, it'd be a great idea if they did change that and move that up in line to go with that as well. So.
Yeah, because stamp duty is can be the biggest hold up to get into the property market, especially if you're buying for $750, you're technically paying $30,000 plus for stamp duties, plus the 5% deposit. So that's a starting point of $80,000 plus to get into the market. So if that stamp duty level can be increased, then it will definitely help a lot more people get into the market. But then you don't want to put too much pressure on the housing supply and market.
That'll be the other issue as well, and this is where I think other promises that were made or other election in terms of initiatives comes into play with regards to the building of all these different houses as well.
Which is the accelerating the supply of getting homes built faster.
Yeah.
So they're rolling out 6,000 fast-track trade qualifications. So you were saying you wouldn't consider building a house anymore?
Look, I think it's probably a good initiative, but they've got to do this one right. Like if we're going to be pushing through tradies qualifications for the sake of getting it through and getting those numbers up real quick, at the expense of not doing the right thing and training them up correctly, that could be really dangerous.
I don't think you'll go from graduating as a plumber or electrician to a builder straight away. So probably more apprentice roles, more like junior starting roles, working under people, but just helping with the workflow that they're going to have. And also they were injecting $54 million into prefab and modular housing, which is very interesting. I think this is the future.
Yeah, I think it's more that regional and remote areas though, isn't it?
Like they technically can print a house in like a day. Yeah. So it's interesting. Definitely, I don't know a lot about it. Probably I don't want to tap into that because I don't know if it's good or not. But I'm pretty sure technology is constantly advancing and it will get to a stage where that would be the norm, Yeah,
they'll be able to develop these type of prefab houses, put them on a truck, drop them all off, nice and easy.
Even on site, they can do it on site with the machine, And
I think it'll be the speed that they actually develop these things will be the key thing.
Exactly, and to get 6,000, to start building the houses they want to build, you need to tap into everything you can.
Well, $54 million, I don't know what the average price of building a prefabricated home would be, but that's a lot of houses.
Yeah, probably it would cost $200,000. I'm not sure. No idea. Yeah. I would be interested to know, actually. There's also funding under the Housing Support Program, $1.5 billion to help councils with planning, zoning, and enabling infrastructure. So, I guess that's another important topic. There's heaps of infrastructure to be done because over the last 10 years, just a lot of new developments have been built but the infrastructure hasn't been taken into consideration.
Yeah.
Like one example they had it on the news the other day was like northern Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to hold, I think, like 100,000 people, and now there's 300,000 people. So you've got all these bottlenecks building up, all the like people using these major roads, which are not built for that much people.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're major freeways between interstates. So you've got your trucks and everything else in between. So these need to be addressed and needs to be worked, so just to incentivize people to consider moving into these areas and be happy citizens.
Yeah, and you got to make sure even public transport is expanded as well to be able to cater for that. So it's well and good to build roads, but you've also got to look at other alternatives, rail, tram. So
like that's one of the things. Like we're growing quick with immigration, with people. And then, you need to invest, and they cost a lot. Like we know the projects going on in Melbourne, they're just costing hundreds of billions of dollars. So
and blowing out by the day.
we're just hoping one day it will be a good investment and pay back. But so far
I may not be driving by the time these are
probably.
But out of that housing support program, I like the bit about helping councils with the whole planning and zoning and all that sort of things. I think those bottlenecks have been massive over the years. I've spoken to many developers over the years where they sit back and go, we're just sick and tired of having our plans in council sitting there for so long. Like some of the councils are like 2 years out.
Wow.
And they've got holding costs. They've got, from the initial investment in land, and then you've got interest costs of the funding that went with all that. If you're holding onto those assets for like 1-2 years and not being able to do anything, by the time you actually get started and actually build and then settle on it and get your payback, that's a big investment. And that's why a lot of the builders and developers are sort of sitting back and go, you know what, some projects just aren't worth it, specific councils. So
100%.
Was that it from your side?
I think that was regarding the accelerating supply of getting homes built faster. So probably the next one would be...
Yeah, the other side of it is obviously renters.
Yeah.
The Commonwealth Rent Assistance is going up by 45%, so that's going to be massive. I think it's a good incentive because, at the end of the day, you can throw all these incentives at homeowners, but not everyone has the ability to be able to buy a property, be it through their employment situation or being able to come up with a deposit, whatever it might be. Not everyone's in that position. So we need to make sure that renters are also looked after as well, because we'll get to a situation which we've seen recently as well, where, people are literally lining up, being, having to put in offers to just rent a place.
Yep.
Which, many, many years ago, that was just not an issue. It was almost the exact opposite, that people were, if they wanted to rent a property, so long as their credentials checked out, it was yours.
Yeah.
Now it's like you're up against 20 other renters who want the same property. So
it just seems that lining up is part of everything you do these days.
Yeah.
Whether you're renting, you're buying, you're everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And the Build to Rent initiative, which comes with the various tax concessions for institutional investors, hopefully that will lead to more long-term rental.
Yeah, I like
communities.
this one.
Yeah. I think they're talking about 80,000 new rental homes.
That's massive.
Including 8,000 affordable units. So great idea. I'm with you on this one here. I think it's good that they've just thought a little bit more outside the square in terms of housing and how we cover all parts of the community. So
yeah, absolutely. And the biggest part in rental, whether you have to rent or want to rent, is the instability. Like, you don't know when the property is going to be sold, or you need to move out and then you need to find another property. So this gives you the stability where the property can't be sold, and you're just there, like even doing a 5-year secure lease. Yeah. Like you've got a big stretch of time.
Yep.
Residing in that.
Love that, because like you said, that instability is, especially when you got younger families as well, like younger people who don't have families or whatever, they can if they have to move out, move a bit of furniture, bit of an imposition. But when you've got families, young kids who are in schools or whatever, and you've got all of a sudden you get told by your landlord, sorry, you're out in 60 days, I'm selling up or whatever it might be.
Yeah. It's very inconvenient.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as you know, I'm looking into rent vesting later this year.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest obstacle or the biggest, I wouldn't call it worry. It's just the biggest thing that puts me off a bit. But I want to try and find something where I can secure at least 2-3 years lease because I don't want to be moving the kids and the family every few years.
I've got the downstairs rumpus room, mate. You can rent that out if you like.
Yeah, probably. Just a bit cold in winter.
It does get colder there in winter time, well and truly. So,
next one would be the social and affordable housing. Yeah, so they're doing the Housing Australia Future Fund worth $10 billion. All these numbers, they're scary. I don't know where they're coming from, but we'll find out. We're at $1 trillion in debt, so we'll see where we're going to be in 3 years.
Just a number at the end of the day, isn't it?
Let's just make it $2 trillion. So it's worth $10 billion. That the Housing Australia Future Fund, and it's aiming at producing 18,000 social and affordable homes. So that's probably there's going to be a criteria on how to be eligible to get into these houses. It's probably similar to your commission housing, but in a different way, hopefully.
Yep.
So we'll see how that will be delivered. And then they're doing $9.3 billion is being allocated for crisis housing, homelessness services, and maintenance of existing social housing stock. So, yeah, look, it's good. Absolutely. Like, we need to look after everyone if we consider ourselves a first world society or first world country. But then, like, my personal issue is, like, we're not actually tackling the issue of homelessness or the housing crisis or whatever the thing is. We just put a Band-Aid. Like,
I was about to say the same thing. Is it just a Band-Aid fix?
Just spend money here, spend money there, but it's not actually solving the issue. Like, what's the issue of homelessness? You know, like, why there are so many homeless people at this stage? You know? I don't know. It's just so many, factors that allow people to become homeless.
Yeah.
And it goes back probably to just the mental state of people and living in an environment which promotes health over, just throwing money at stuff. So we'll see how that plays out. But
look, it's good that they're throwing lots of money at the housing sector, but if you're not fixing the root of the issues, then
we'll just have more homeless people.
Yeah, it's like you can spend $9.3 billion on maintenance of existing housing stock, but it'll keep happening.
Yeah.
So we can't keep spending that amount of money every 3-4 years to deal with this. It's if you're not dealing with the real issues, then you could be in trouble. So
absolutely, man.
All right. The foreign buyer ban and the market implications that come from that. We spoke about this when we did the budget podcast. The main thing is that foreign buyers will be banned from purchasing existing homes for 2 years, starting from April 1, 2025. So it's already started now. So obviously the aim of that is to free up stock within urban centres. I don't know about this one. I just don't know how much influence the impact this will have on certain areas. There'll probably be more concentration on certain suburbs where you will see that impact. But I think time will tell as to whether that actually helps out.
Like, there has been some measures in place already around foreign buyers.
Yeah, there's always that. Yeah,
complete ban.
Yeah, I think in the past it was the Foreign Investment Review Board, FIRB. That's right. Yeah, about purchasing new developments and having to get approval through that. This now extends to all the existing houses as well, but to have an actual ban on it, we're still seeing record numbers of
vacant.
No, sorry, I'm thinking of people entering the country.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But
that wouldn't fall under foreign. I don't know, depending on the visa status and residency status.
Yeah, well,
it's more about people living overseas and they were investing here.
Yeah,
and that's what we've seen probably like. When was that?
So I think
7 years ago.
That's right. Yeah, when we saw a lot of those investments, say here in Melbourne, Docklands was a classic example. We saw
a lot of
huge
people
amounts
from China just buying huge amounts.
Now they're all sitting there vacant, wasting away,
and plus they were buying way above the median and what other people are willing to do, and that just shifted the whole market. But there has been some limitations and bans since then, and now it's just a complete ban.
So I think we'll see some price adjustments in certain areas. So.
I agree with it. Like, priority should be for, people living.
Yeah, it's like you said earlier on. If we're spending all this amount of money, we've just got to look after our own backyard first, rather than everyone else. And I know that this extends to more than just housing and finance.
Absolutely,
this extends to absolutely everything that's going on in this country. So
absolutely. And the last one would be training the next generation. So it's just doubling construction apprentice incentives. So this is actually good because we need more apprentices. We need more labour just to get the jobs done that's needed. So eligible apprentices can now receive up to $10,000 and employers up to $5,000 under the extended priority hiring incentive, which runs through to the end of 2025. So, like as was discussed in the beginning, it's all measures, or at least what we're discussing, it's the measures relating to housing and property and how that's going to influence the next 3 years or even longer if things, set to start and they actually start implementing these measures. So it's going to be interesting to watch how that plays out, how it helps people, how the implications on the housing market, on the prices, what the bank's going to do, finance, what's going to happen there. So there's a lot happening, but it's definitely a positive step towards.
There definitely steps in the right direction. And like you said, if we then get the RBA coming to the party and reducing rates like the banks are predicting this year, throw all that in together, could make for quite a momentous shift in the market. So
absolutely.
Look forward to seeing how this all plays out well and truly. So
yeah, absolutely. We'll be around to watch it and be involved in it. Yeah, hope so. So
I guess final thoughts and wrapping up today. So, what does this mean for everyone really in the day? Greater eligibility means more opportunities for first home buyers. That's probably the first one we want to talk about. Rental reforms will reshape property investor goals. So it's not just the renters, but also people who are actually buying property for investment purposes. And obviously the foreign buyer policy will probably have a subtle shift in the market balance. So
yeah. Absolutely. Probably a couple of things to touch on before we end. The first time guarantee scheme, that's starting in 2026.
Yes.
So
30 June, 1 July.
Is it 1st of July 2026? Is that the start date?
Sorry.
I think in January it starts, a new calendar year.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's starting in 2026. The rental reforms for build to rent, based on the budget podcast that we did, I think that was for big developments.
Yes.
It's not like for smaller developments.
Institutional type developments.
Yeah, but then we'll get more details as they put more information out there. But I think that will do for today. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Wrap it up.
All right. You go.
You go. No, you go.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening in again. Obviously, we'd love to have you subscribe to our podcast going forward. Give us a nice 5-star rating if you can. And once again, like we always say every week, just if you've got any certain topics that you want us to discuss, throw them our way. We're happy to discuss as much as we possibly can to help everyone else out there. But until next time.
Until next time. Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone.
Disclaimer. The information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into account your personal circumstances.